Hey, sports fans, PB&C Sports Chaos. We didn't have Wednesday night football this week, but we got our Thursday night show instead of Friday because we want to get a little preview of the Pats-Rams game tonight on Thursday night. And PB, what are you drinking there?
Oh, just cracking right after work today. Just cracking a nice funky Buddha Hop Gun IPA. This is out of a brewery in Oakland Park, Florida, which is just outside of Fort Lauderdale. It's a really good citrusy, hoppy 7.0 IPA. I love it.
Nice. Well, after I get back from my evening workout, my son will have one. Not one of those, but a beer. Hey, little college football. We'll talk NFL, and of course, we're going to do PB's A to Z. A fans is the best, top 5, and Z is his worst, bottom 5. You're going to like this one when we get to it. All right, I got to bring this up. You've been hopping on it all along. I've been joining the bandwagon with you, Ohio State. Last week, I said if Michigan had a good win in the season, it would be to get their game canceled, so knock Ohio State out of the Big Ten. Sure enough, Michigan has COVID. They had to cancel the game this week. But guess what? Big Ten's changing the rules. They're now going to let Ohio State be in the championship game with only 5 games played. PB, man, we'll talk more about this next week when we do our picks for those title games. But this is not looking good. I got a funny feeling Ohio State might sneak in. We'll talk about the scenarios next week that might prevent them from sneaking in, and maybe get your Florida team in who's looking on the outside in right now. So we'll see, right?
Yep.
I know you're not happy about Ohio State, though. You've been saying it all season, and I'm with you at this point in time. I'll just say one quick thing. Imagine if it was reverse. If Indiana was the 5-0 team, having beat Ohio State, and Ohio State had played 6 games with 1 loss, would they change the rules for Indiana?
Great point.
Probably not, right?
Wouldn't
all right.
think so.
Man, all right. Hey, Coastal Carolina turned out to be a good game. I know you didn't pick them last week. BYU, Coastal Carolina, BYU, the 10-point favorite, lost. That was a really good game. I watched it. Probably the second best game in the year to that Clemson-Notre Dame game. So, nice job there. I liked it a lot. Hey, we both picked BC last week. They lost to Virginia, but this kid, Dennis Grosel, the walk-on quarterback, had to fill in for the starter. He only threw for 520 yards. He tied none other than Doug Flutie's record. Go figure, man. Oh, my. And by the way, the top 4 teams, no news there. Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, but yada, yada, yada. We'll talk more about college next week. I got to ask you a question, though, PB. I know we did our picks last week. We're going to do 4 picks now. But get this. If you're doing the over-under last week and you had 99 as the over-under, with Texas and Kansas, guess what? You picked over. You won. 69-31, 100 points scored in that game. Whoa. And then another one, if you picked the under 99 points, you just won Missouri and Arkansas 48-40. Unbelievable. 50-48, I'm sorry. 98 points scored. All right. Let's do our picks real quick. Some rivalry games are going on this week. We'll pick them momentarily. First game we're going to pick is Stanford, a 3-point favorite against Oregon State. I'm picking this game for one reason. I picked both of them this year to win in upsets, and they both did. So now I got to pick one of them to win the game. I'm taking Oregon State. Who you taking?
Yeah, I am too. I took Stanford earlier. I won that one. I went against Oregon State in the Oregon State-Oregon rivalry and came up lame on that one. So I'm going to take Oregon State with the points at home, +3.
Nice. All right. Let's go to the ACC. This is the ACC Runner-Up Cup. University of North Carolina goes to Miami. The Hurricanes having a very good season. They're a 3.5-point favorite. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like the way the Hurricanes are playing. It's in Miami. They're putting fans in the stadiums. They're a 3.5-point favorite, right? I'm going to take Miami. I'll lay the points on that.
Me too. All right. Rivalry game out in the West Coast, USC, UCLA. This thing, you can throw out the records every year. It's always a dogfight. USC is the favorite. This is for bragging rights of LA. Who do you like? 3-point favorite, USC.
Yeah, much like with Oregon State, I do like the home team with the points here. UCLA is getting 3. I think it's going to be a close game. I'll take the points with the Bruins.
Wow. All right, I got USC to win that one. They still think they have a slim chance of being in the playoffs. All right. And then the last one, the classic, Army-Navy. And I got my Roger Staubach shirt, not from the Navy, though, the Cowboys. But I'm wearing Roger the Dodgers shirt this weekend for this game. Army's a 6.5-point favorite. They are actually playing it on campus this year at Army because of COVID. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, maybe hasn't had a good year. They only won 2 games, I think, all season long.
Right.
Army's played decent. They've won some good games. They're bowl eligible, right? I think they're the better team here. They're playing up in West Point. I'll lay the 6.5. I think they can beat it by a touchdown or more.
I'm hoping that rivalries mean more than records. I'm going to take Navy to cover, not win the game, but cover the 6.5.
All right. Okay, we're different on 2 this week.
Yeah. All right. Let's move into NFL. And you know what, fans? I've been waiting to hear this point of view, first of all. So before we talk NFL talk, I want PB to give us his A to Z list. And his A list is the top 5 defenses right now in the NFL, correct?
Yes.
What do you got?
My top 5 defenses, I'm going to go 1 to 5, okay? But let me give you first 6 through 10, just as honorable mentions. I'm not going to give any details, but I had number 6 is the Giants. Number 7 is the Colts. A lot of people might think they should be in the top 5, but I have them number 7. Number 8, I have the Bucks. Number 9, I have the Chiefs. And at number 10, I have the Baltimore Ravens. So those did not make my top 5 list. I'm ready to give you my top 5, though, here.
Oh, let's go. I don't know about Chiefs in the top 10 on defense, but okay.
All right. Well, they're an opportunistic defense. They take the ball away from their opponents, and they also don't let up many points, really. Let's see. Number 1, I think it's an easy pick. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
Leads the NFL in sacks by far with 44. They lead the NFL in takeaways with 23. They have the fewest amount of points allowed at 17.6, and they're 3rd in yards allowed per game at 300.5. So how can you not put him at number 1? I don't
disagree. I agree.
An easy pick there. At number 2, I have the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, they're tied 3rd in sacks with 36. They are tied for 7th in takeaways with 19. They are 4th in the NFL in points allowed with 20.1. And they are the number 1 defense in the NFL for yards per game, only 288.8 yards total against them in a game. So they're my number 2.
I would agree with that.
Number 3, I have the Los Angeles Rams. One of the, besides Pittsburgh, is the only other team that's actually in the top 5 in all of these categories across the board. They are tied for 3rd in sacks with 36. They are tied for 3rd in takeaways with 20. They are 5th in the NFL, right behind New Orleans at 20.3 points allowed per game. And they are number 2 in the NFL, ahead of Pittsburgh, but behind New Orleans in yards allowed per game at 291.3. So they're my number 3.
All right. You know what? I would have said that as well. 3 for 3. Okay.
Okay. Number 4. This may surprise a few people, but let me give you the stats before I give you the team. They are 10th in the league in sacks with 31. They are number 2 in the NFL in takeaways with 21. They are number 2 in the NFL with points per game allowed at 17.7, just 0.1 point behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this team also, unlike Pittsburgh is playing the NFC East, arguably the easiest division in football. This team is playing the NFC West, arguably the hardest team in football. So I would give their 17.7 points allowed per game more credit than the 17.6 that Pittsburgh has.
Okay.
Miami Dolphins, number 4.
Wow. Who knew that was coming?
Hey, the stats don't lie. Would you agree that that's a pretty dominant defense?
I think it's fluff. I think they really haven't showed up in the big games. We'll see.
We'll see what happens with the Chiefs. Yep, we'll see.
You'll see my bold prediction in a little while.
All right. Okay. And then number 5, you might be saying, wait, we already went through Tampa Bay, Indy, Giants, KC, Baltimore. We just said Pittsburgh, Rams, New Orleans, Miami. Who's left? Number 5, the Washington football team. Well, they are tied for 3rd in the NFL in sacks. They have a great front line, right? Front 7, really. They have the 7th fewest points allowed per game at 21.7, and they are 4th in the NFL in yards allowed per game at 310.9. So there's all good reasons why they should be sitting at number 5. Some people might argue Indy or Tampa, the Giants even should slide in there, but I like what the Washington football team's doing on defense. I like them.
I'm with you. I wouldn't put Tampa either, and I certainly wouldn't put the Giants. And remember last week when we were talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers going undefeated, and we were talking about the games down the road, I said, don't sleep on the Redskins. They have a great front seven. And look what happened the other night. So, all right, I like it. Let's get the Z list, and this one's even better. Give us your worst 5 first-round draft picks in the 2010s. Worst 5.
Right. Okay. I got my number 1 overall, and I went with marquee players. There's a lot of players out there that, people were very high on. Skill positions tend not to go high. Usually maybe a quarterback does, but not, a lot of the higher picks tend to be linemen and things like that people just might not be able to reference and latch onto. So I went for high-profile type players. And I'm going to start with Johnny Football as the worst pick in the first round of the draft. Johnny Manziel out of Texas A&M, right? This was a 2014 draft. He was picked number 22 overall. The only other quarterback taken in the first round that year was a pretty poor draft class was Blake Bortles at number 3. But you know what? You know who was missed on, who was taken after Bortles and before Johnny Manziel? Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr, and Jimmy G. I don't know if they taken before, but they all came out of that draft.
Right,
I shouldn't
right.
say. They all came out of that draft. So those are all players that they could have taken instead of Johnny Football, is what I meant. So
all right. I agree with that.
After him.
I would put him in the top 5.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, I went with another quarterback, Blaine Gabbert, drafted by Jacksonville in 2011. He was picked number 10 overall out of Missouri. Bad draft class. 2011, you had Cam Newton go number 1 overall out of Auburn. And after that, it was just a bad class. As a matter of fact, number 3, same draft, 2 picks later. I'm sorry, 2 picks earlier, number 8 overall, Jake Locker.
Oh, I would agree with that one for sure. Gabbert's still in the league, so I don't know about worst in the top 5, but definitely Locker. I like that. Okay.
All right. And he went to Tennessee, of course. Number 4, I'm going to switch here and go to a wide receiver. Number 4, 2015 draft, pick number 7 out of West Virginia, Kevin White.
Kevin White? Yeah.
Kevin White to the Chicago Bears.
I thought he was going to be a stud. I'm disappointed by him.
Yeah, I know. You were very high on him when he was drafted.
Yep.
In that same draft, 3 picks before him, there was another wide receiver taken, which was the highest wide receiver draft in recent history at number 4 overall. Do you know who that was?
I do, but I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
It's okay. You'll kick yourself when I tell you. Out of Alabama, Amari Cooper.
I can't say he's a bust. He's still a very productive player in the NFL, right?
Cooper? Oh no. I was just asking you who was drafted.
Okay. Oh, all right.
No. Cooper's great.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in that same draft, when Kevin White was drafted 7th, Amari Cooper was drafted 4th. And the reason I bring that up to you is in recent history, or actually since that time, there's only been 1 wide receiver drafted higher than number 7 since that draft in 2015. And, of course, Amari Cooper is one of them because it was the same draft. He was taken 3 picks earlier. Do you know who the other wide receiver was that was taken higher than number 7?
Since that year?
Yeah. I'll give you the school, Western Michigan.
He was out of Michigan?
Western Michigan.
Oh, the kid that's on the Titans right now, Corey Davis?
Corey Davis, very good. Yep, very good. He was drafted number 5 in 2017. So think about it. Since 2015, the only wide receiver taken higher than Kevin White was Corey Davis.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's got to be a bust right there, Kevin White.
Yeah. Oh, I would agree.
Okay. Number 5, I'm going to put in honorable mentions. I did not pick these players, but I was going to talk about Nikhil Harry. And the reason why I was going to talk about Nikhil Harry, he was taken number 32, just barely in the first round out of Arizona State. But that was a decent draft class for wide receivers. You had 4 picks after him was Deebo Samuel. A.J. Brown went in that draft. Nicole Hardman, Deonta Johnson, Terry McLaurin, all very productive receivers right now in the NFL. Oh, I forgot something. DK Metcalf was also in that draft. So Nikhil Harry, and those were all taken after Nikhil Harry. Every one of those players I just mentioned. That is a big, 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 big bust to me. So that almost made it. And the other one, you're not going to want to.
I will say in 2 years from now, we will call that one of the 5 worst draft picks of the last 10 years.
We may, exactly. So but I didn't put it in there. It was honorable mention. My other honorable mention, just because such high hopes, and I know it was an injury that really caused his demise. We talked about him a couple weeks ago too. RG3. I mean, number 2 overall in 2012, just never really panned out to be the kind of potential stud he could have been. He could have been a Patrick Mahomes. He could have been a Russell Wilson. He could have been a real good NFL Hall of Fame type quarterback, and he just fell flat. So
I would say if he wasn't on a roster still, he would have to be in the top 5. The fact he's still playing, you got to put him just outside the top 5. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So my number 5 then, little surprise here, 2013 draft, number 16 pick overall out of Florida State.
Oh, Tim Tebow?
No,
Florida State.
Florida State.
E.J. Manuel.
E.J. Manuel, yes, went to Buffalo. He just never turned in. He bounced around a few years. He backed up. He started some games. But that was a really, really, really bad class, though. 2013 was probably one of the worst quarterback classes in the last 10 years, I would say.
I'll give you a sneaky one. The Pats, another one. Sony Michel, when his teammate Nick Chubb was still on the board.
Wow. Yeah, that's a tough one. I just
Hey,
put a lot of running backs in the NFL lately.
I got one other one for you. Only because 2 other players drafted ahead of him. One of them was already a sure bet Hall of Famer, Mitchell Trubisky. They moved up to get him. They passed on Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, and they went up to number, 4 to get him?
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. Yeah, maybe the Chiefs weren't willing to trade. I know they still could have, moved up. They did move up to get him, but maybe the only reason why they could move up is because they could trade with that team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the Bears went past the 10, so Kansas City had 10. The Bears traded up to get him. They passed by, and they could have taken him as opposed to Deshaun, who I think was 4, and Mahomes was 10.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that blows my mind, especially when you look at Mahomes. But you could do that a lot. You could look at the draft classes of quarterbacks that have come out and look at taken ahead of. I mean, we could go through the list of who's taken over Brady.
Right. All right, hey, let's move up. Last week we had 2 big upsets. The Giants were FPI's biggest upset of the year, beating Arizona. They now are tied again for the NFC East, believe it or not, with Washington, as we just mentioned, who upset Pittsburgh, an undefeated team. And I know you gave Pittsburgh a lot of crap. I'll just say this. One of the things we should consider about that game, Pittsburgh was coming off only 4 days off. Washington had 10 days off. They played on Thanksgiving. And Pittsburgh had to deal with 4 cancellations, so their schedule was adjusted 4 times. I give a little bit of a buy on that because of that. So we'll see. But NFC East is now tied with the Giants, who now we got to pick them this week, and Washington as well. We won't pick that game because it's not going to be a big game. But let's get into this. Let's talk a little bit about these games this week. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's start with tonight's game.
Pats, Rams. What do you think?
Yeah, I really want to stick to whatever I put on the record on this show. I've been losing across the board. And the only reason why I picked the Chargers last week is so I could have that on the record, knowing that my pick would be wrong, because I can't pick a Patriots game this year to save my life. I think the Jets game was the last one I picked right. So in light of that and hoping that the Patriots can pull this game off, out on the, a 2-game sweep on the West Coast in LA, I am going to take the Rams. I mean, the Rams are the better team, but I have this sneaky feeling, especially because of what Belichick did to Goff last time around, that they're going to step up on defense in this game, and I think they can pull it off. But on the record, I'm picking the Rams.
You know what? I'm with you. I still want to pick the Pats, not for your reason that you want them to win. That's why you pick against them. I just going to believe that only having 4 days off is probably going to hurt this team a little bit. I think the Rams ended up winning this game.
Okay.
All right. Indy at Vegas, a little playoff preview. Indy was supposed to be your top team in the league. I don't know. And by the way, you were on record of saying last week during a group text that Indy, Cleveland, and Buffalo all could beat Pittsburgh. So we'll see pretty soon. But I don't even think Indy wins this game, my friend. What do you think?
No, I think they do. I mean,
right.
Las Vegas, let's face it, the last couple of games, they've looked like crap. They got smoked by Atlanta. They got the Jesus beaten out of them.
Yeah.
And the Jets should have won that game. They should have lost to the Jets. They let Darnold have probably the best game of his career that game, right? So I don't know. I don't think it's in Vegas, but I don't care. I know Indy likes the dome and all that. I still think Indy's going to win this game.
I think Gruden still has Phillip Rivers' numbers going back to his Chargers days. I like Gruden to win this game with his coaching. All right.
Plus, they're fighting for their playoff life, right?
They are. All right. Baltimore and Cleveland. Cleveland, you think is for real. Baker was awesome last week. I do love the Baker, man.
Yeah.
They can run the ball. I don't know. What do you think, though?
Yeah. I mean, last week, I have to admit, Cleveland impressed me with Tennessee because, Tennessee had that big win against Indianapolis. And you
made them your top 5.
My A-list, they made it. They were my number 5 team. They slid into that number 5 spot because of that huge win over Indy. And then they turn around and they lose to Cleveland. They actually got smoked. They came back. They scored 28 points in the second half. I think they outscored them 28-3 or something in the second half. So they came back. That team's known for that. They're a very resilient team in that regard. But still, Cleveland beat them. Cleveland beat the Titans after coming off that huge win in India. I like what Cleveland's doing right now, and Baltimore's not impressing me at all. At all. I mean, there's nothing there. Their offense is lethargic, and even with Jackson back, I'm not impressed at all. I barely had their defense. They were my number 10 defense. They're falling off the charts here down the stretch.
So you're taking Cleveland.
I like Cleveland.
All right. Lamar showed me something the other night. I think he's waking back up to last year's status. I'm going to take Baltimore.
Okay.
All right. This is a once only a year pick. We're going to make the Giants. They're hosting Arizona, but this is playoff implications all around. The Giants could end up winning the NFC East if they get this game and one more. Arizona needs this one to keep their playoff bid alive. You predict them to make the playoffs. Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Giants, what they're doing on defense, but you know what? Arizona has a pretty good offense, and I don't think they can match that up. And I think Arizona, with having to fight for their playoff life, essentially, and I have them picked as my 7 seed to get into the playoffs, so I want to stick with that as well. I think Arizona figures out a way to win this one.
I pick Arizona for spite. I always hate the Giants, so there we go. All right.
Okay.
Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Here you go. Here's your chance. You say Buffalo's a better team than Pittsburgh now. What are you saying?
Yeah, and the line on this is even, right? Which means that they think Pittsburgh's a little bit of a better team because it's obviously in Buffalo, and usually that buys you 3 points. So, man, this is a tough one to pick. I mean, the year Pittsburgh's having, it's hard to see them just dropping 2 in a row. But Buffalo's been playing some good football. And if it weren't for that, Hail Mary pass in Arizona that caused them to lose that game, they'd have even a better record. So
right.
I think I have a sneaky feeling Buffalo's going to win this game and hand Pittsburgh 2 losses in a row. Pittsburgh's going to struggle down the stretch here. They're going to lose a couple more games.
I think Pittsburgh bounces back. Big Ben doesn't take this lion down. He makes up for that game last week. And, by the way, his receivers had 7 drops. You're not going to see that again. They may have the best quartet. Well, actually, quintet if you add Eric Ebron, the tight end. 4 of their receivers could start on almost every team in the NFL. I think they bounce back. Pittsburgh wins it.
Yeah. I mean, you could say I would argue that Minnesota 10 times better than Pittsburgh. Give me Jefferson and Thielen with Dalvin Cook at running back and Kirk Cousins. I'll take that any day.
When Chase Claypool's your number 4, and he's probably one of the better rookies this year, you've got, Schuster, you've got Deontay Johnson, you've got James Washington. Those guys, and Ebron. I mean, those are top-notch receivers.
Well, I thought you had to include the running back in the quintuplet.
No, just the 4 receivers and the tight end. And if James.
Oh, okay. Just I thought you were talking about like the offense,
just the pass target.
On the back.
Just the pass target.
Oh, okay. All right. I can see that. All right.
Last, we're going to pick the game you're going to. Kansas City at Miami.
Yeah, I am going to this game. I will be in Hard Rock Stadium with Chiefs fans. They got a couple coming in from Kansas City. Casey Josh is coming down from Boston, and we're gonna hit the Hard Rock Stadium. And you know, Miami's impressing me. Their defense is impressing me. They're playing tough games. I think they're going to play Kansas City's a touchdown favorite. But you know what? Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, they're almost unstoppable. They really are. And they don't even have a real running back this year, right? Last year they had that whole running back threat too, and that hasn't been there. And even without that, this team is crazy good. So I can't pick against the Chiefs. I don't think I'll ever pick against the Chiefs the rest of the year. I won't. So
no, they should run the table the rest of the year. All right, I got two bold predictions for you. Get ready. Hold on to your hat. Miami fans are going to love to hear this. 1, Tua will be this year's Mitch Trubisky in 3 years from now, meaning Herbert and Burrow will be hands down much better than he will be in his NFL career. That's one. Secondly, get ready. Dolphins don't win a game the rest of the year. They go 0 for 4 the rest of the stretch, and they fall out of playoff contention. And by the way, they get the Pats, they got the Bills, and what's the other team? They got one other team that's pretty good as well. I'm drawing a blank.
I'm not sure.
I think if the Pats beat them next week, forget about it. They're done.
All right. I mean, that's an interesting prediction, but you know,
Vegas. They got Vegas. That's who is.
Oh, they got Vegas. Okay, Vegas. Yeah. I mean, Flores is doing some good things in Miami. He's really managing that team well. The defense is showing. He has a defensive mindset. That's certainly showing. Gaskin is back. Tua's dynamic at the QB spot. I don't see them dropping 4 in a row. I see him losing this week. But not 4 in a row.
All right. That's a wrap, fans. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Let's see how our predictions come out. PB, good A to Z list. Thanks.
All right.